Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the Purge Box. If this is your first time here, my name is Leah Ruth. I love to go by Leah Ruth the Truth on social media. I am a trademarked life coach. I specialize in trauma recovery, and here at the Purge Box, I discuss ways to dissolve hidden blocks, expose your blind spots, and purge limiting beliefs. So if you took a look at the video from yesterday, it may come up somewhere at the end of this video. You will know I'm on a topic that truly dives in a little deep. My message is about breaking generational curses to create new generational wealth, all right? To cultivate new legacies. So I was initially going to have a new cover made on two of my journals that are already on Amazon. I put a halt on that, a complete halt. And the Holy Spirit, like, I align my life with principles, business principles, and biblical principles, right? I marry the two because you can learn a lot about reading the scripture, and it's just best to align. I find it best to align my life off of biblical principles. You could do what you want, but for me, when I began coming out of agreement with what I was seeing, right, within my family dynamic, that's when I realized I was onto something. Not saying that my family is evil. Actually, they're a very, very good family. My ancestors were outstanding citizens. They are great, so much so that I have inducted their history into the museum. And my uncle, his name is on the wall of the rotunda of Capitol Hill. Like, I come from a great family. However, systemically, because I was born in the 60s and they were born in the 1900s, and my grandparents, my father's parents, were born 1877 and 1892. If my father was alive, he'd be 97 going on 98. And although they were great, to survive back during them times, in those errors, you did not speak against the norm. And what was normal to them was hiding things under the rug, was keeping secrets within the family. And they kept some of the secrets so deep within their molecular structure that it got lost. They completely forgot it. And if you were to ask them a question about their parents or their aunts and uncles or their siblings, or a relative that was older than them, they literally forgot. They did not know, or the history was erased. My mother's father and mother were born 1915 and 1920. My mother's mother, through DNA tests, we were able to, not just her and I taking DNA tests for my family, but different relatives who we all share the same grandmother, were able to discern that she came from Spain. So her story aligns with what happened to the diaspora that was dispersed from Europe, right? Along with my other relatives, my father's mother, her people come from Scotland. His father's people come from the British Isles, from the Caribbean, right? So knowing this, I was able to put some pieces together, and my mother and I, doing our history and our research, and take with what my uncle Dr. Shadrach Moon, the person whose name is in the rotunda, the person who served on the Council of Foreign Affairs, he served presidents. He began doing my family's history before DNA tests. Uncle Shadrach knew everybody. He was a doctor of sociology. Like, he was the one. And so compiling his information and the new data that my mother and I and different relatives gathered, I was able to hone in on what is keeping this family from moving forward. What habits and patterns and behaviors keeps coming up in this family that they're not banishing? Like, what are they not paying attention to that continues to show itself in the new generation? And is those patterns, habits, and behaviors positive ones? Now, my relatives, as great as they were, I mean, they were great. They were some of the first black people in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who literally started the social economic status here. They were the first bishop. My grandfather was the first bishop of John Wesley Center AME Zion Church in the historic Hill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the place where the Underground Railroad came through. He was also one of the first bishops of the Allegheny Conference. The righteous, honorable Elijah Lovett Madison is my father's father by way of rape. He raped my grandmother. So that is a whole video and a whole Netflix story and series and episodes. And if Aaron Pierre is watching this, he looks a whole lot like my father, down to the eyes. My father's eyes changed colors. And my father received the Victory Medal from President Harry Truman for fighting in World War II, Pearl Harbor. So, hey, Aaron, we have a whole story for you here. If you like playing war heroes, it comes with a family crest and a seal of honor and an exhibition that is archived in the Senator John Hines History Center. So this is what breaking the chains looks like. This is what binding up generational curses look like. It resembles doing your DNA, paying attention to patterns, habits, and behaviors in your family that's not serving you today. Because the scripture tells us 4 generations deep, right? So I'm the 4th generation. And if I want to flip and reverse something that someone in this family came in agreement with, I have to confront it. You have to be confrontational without hyping up and wanting to fight. Like, you must confront these things that makes your family uncomfortable because they have become too comfortable in a curse, in patterns, in habits and behaviors that's not serving them. I decided to create a new book literally on the subject, and it's called Breaking the Chains. And it coincides with a somatic neurolinguistic program that I've already created, which is a guided meditation transformational program, an 8-week course called Break the Chains. So this book that I am creating, and it's called Breaking the Chains, it's a guide to breaking generational curses and establishing new legacies. There's a table of contents. There's an introduction, understanding generational curses, chapter 1 is the hidden patterns, recognizing those curses. Chapter 2 is the power of prayer, right? The power of prayer and breaking curses. Prayer is so very, very powerful. When you identify something in your family and in your life, in your bloodline, that you know Satan put over y'all, somebody in your family came in agreement with, you have to pray, you have to fast, you have to meditate, right? See yourself in a different scenario. See your family moving forward from you and 4 generations forward that haven't even gotten here yet. See them living in a new environment, establishing new family dynamics, new patterns, new habits, and new behaviors that serve you. If your family was a wealthy family, but you know they were plundered, that might look like hiring an attorney to take back everything that belongs to you, but make sure you have your documentation. And that documentation, you should make a digital backup of it. Save it in your file, save it in iCloud, save it on your email, send hard copies to different people in your family, right? If you have a security deposit in your bank, put it there, put it in a safe, put it in places, multiple places, because we know evil happens. We see the fires that have taken place in California. Those people lost everything if they did not have a digital backup to their deed or to wills that was left to them from ancestors to change their family dynamics from living in a curse to manifesting generational wealth. These are very important key things to consider. Chapter 4 is meditation for healing and transformation, right? Chapter 5 is affirmations that empower and shift generational patterns. Our words form things. Our words are so very, very powerful. They literally form things. Words are things. But first, it starts with a thought. So if you speak positive affirmations in your life throughout the day, literally check yourself, stand in the mirror. You are your competition. And start speaking positive affirmations. Call those things that be not until they are. Right? The scripture tells us to do that. Affirmations that empower, chapter 4, affirmations that empower and shift generational patterns. Chapter 5, the decision to confront the past. Break the silence. Some of your ancestors will be real tight-lipped. You have to break the silence. And then when you realize perhaps these patterns and these habits and these behaviors that keep manifesting in your life, you'll realize maybe they opened up a door to divination. They opened up a door to palmistry or whatever it's called, the neomocracy. Like the Most High be downloading words into my conscious, and then I have to Google, like, what is that? They may have opened up the door to astrology. They may have opened up the door to, just all sorts of ritualistic witchcraft. They may have opened up the door to joining a cult because the person is saying, Lord, Lord, when really, in fact, when they leave that congregation, they go shoot dope or, go snort dope or whatever it is. Like, you have to be the one to identify and discern what is wrong and why do your spirit feel the way it does, because it's trying to tell you something. This is a pivotal point for you to make it right. All right. So chapter 6, healing conversations with family and setting new boundaries. That may look like, you know, you're a young adult and you go sit your parents down, like, mom and dad, like, I really want to have a discussion because I appreciate, you know, what you have done with creating a safe environment for me to learn more about not just myself but about our family. And however, what I've realized are some patterns within our family that doesn't serve me. You have to, like, raise your vibration to a level of self-awareness, self-mastery, self-confidence, self-help, self-improvement, so that you can pivot and moving forward, your generation will have a basis. Like, my auntie, she live in Greece. She's the rich auntie. She sails the seven seas on yachts, and she was able to do that because she confronted the elders about her past and about their past, and there were patterns that she didn't like, and so she flipped it. And then next thing you know, she found a will that was left to her with her name on it. It can be that simple, Miss Bacall. I'm telling you, right? That's the truth. Something very similar happened to me. No, I'm not in Greece and selling the seven seas, but a will was bequeathed to me by my uncle, Dr. Shadrach Moon. He literally left everything, he says, all in parentheses, to me, my name, with my name on it. So I am now a property heiress, and I have been chosen to acquire the wealth that was left to him from his brother who passed away, that was left to him from their uncle who passed away. And their uncle is not my relative. Completely different last name, not a blood relative. But it was my father's brothers, who has three brothers. Their mother, after she got raped, gave birth to my father in the South, and she came back up to Pittsburgh and she remarried. Her husband passed away, and the bishop came to her house to console her, and he ended up raping and violating her. He was over 7 feet tall. He was a giant. She could not fight him off. So she went to the South and she gave birth to my father, and she left him there to be raised by her parents, who had 14 other children on a farm. The McKnights and the Evans, royal Scottish rights, bloodline relatives. So you have to do your research and find out who you are, where they come from, how did they get to the situation that they're in, and how does it affect you today. I knew that my uncle's uncle had property in the Hill District of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, because my uncle took me to that property when he discovered the the stock that was left behind to him from his brother, who he received it through a registration of wills with their name on it, the family address, the family phone number that never changed in over 53 years. And it's 53 years now that it has to be probated back because of all the pillaging and plundering to my family. You're watching this video because you know you are chosen. And if you are chosen, I want you to write, I am chosen, in the comment section. You are chosen for a time such as this, so you can set the future generation of your family free. And whom the Son has made free is free indeed. My uncle, whose last name was different from my father's, because their mother, when she came back up to Pittsburgh, She 2 years later she remarried, and that man gave her 3 sons, and all 3 of those sons lived a really good life. They were doctors, chief of police, commanders, first foremen, black first foreman of the city of Pittsburgh. His sister was the founding mother, one of them, of the YWCA Pittsburgh chapter. Her husband was the first black dentist in downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My father got plundered in the South. And to get off of that farm, he signed himself up to go and fight in Pearl Harbor. He went to go fight in World War II. And he survived it. And not only did he survive it, but he left that war honorably discharged, and he received the Victory Medal from President Harry Truman for his bravery. So they did all of that, so we don't have to. But what I have been charged with, what my uncle have bequeathed to me, is gaining back the wealth that was plundered from him and his brother that their uncle left to them. And he left me all the history of the church that his mother and his brothers collected, because they knew that bishop raped their mother, and their brother James E. Evans was the product of the rape from the bishop. And we all know there's a trust for that. So you're going to have to roll up your sleeves. Heaven has suffered violence, and the violent must take it back by force. You cannot break generational curses in the carnal and not realizing you're going to have to reach up to heaven and pull some things down. You're going to have to pull down some strongholds. And you cannot be afraid. And there's going to be some family members who are going to sit around. They're going to talk about you. They're going to gossip. They're going to try to devise a plan to put you in jail. They're going to try to devise a plan to put you in a mental ward, because you have come out of agreement with being plundered. You've come out of agreement with being pillaged. You knew something was wrong, and you're the one who has to make it right. So, Mishpachah, I'm here to create a sacred space for you, and I'm creating a how-to guide on breaking generational curses to manifest generational wealth. Your legacy is in your hands. And chapter 7, like I said, is creating new patterns for future generations. And then it will go into a conclusion about embracing your new legacy. And that's the phase that I'm at in my life. The generational wealth that that was bequeathed to me is attached to real estate. So I am a property investor because I own a home. And every time I pay my mortgage, I'm paying myself, so I'm investing into my equity. But I'm also a property heiress, which that just came by way of the ancestors always choosing me. They always chose me. I have all type of heirlooms that was passed down to me from both grandmothers, from uncles, from my mom. They seen something in me, looked over every single person in the family and was like, boom, I want you to have this. Boom, I'm bequeathing all to her. Boom. Like there's one of you. It just takes one to set the future generations free. Are you that one? And if you are, say, I'm the one. Say, I am the one. I'm the one. And be ready. When I'm finished creating this book, right now in my mind it's a digital book, but depending on how many pages it ends up with, It may become a book, it may be a hard copy, and I may have a digital version. I may have both. So I may end up creating it as a paperback and putting that too on Amazon with my other two journals, hashtag 30 questions and manifest your soul purpose in 30 days, right? This book, this is literally how I broke generational curses, and I'm going to outline it so you can follow along. It is going to be a guide to breaking generational curses and establishing new legacies, literally. So I'm just still trying to decide if I should make it just as a digital book or as a book on Amazon. Why don't you guys give me some insight? Tell me what you would want to see. I personally think a digital book would be easier because people around the world can have access to it. Not everybody in the world can go onto Amazon and have them send them something. But if you have a computer and you want to purchase something and it's digital, you can be in Antarctica or Iceland or wherever and download that book and dive right into it. So you can take back what belongs to you. Rebuke the contracts, rebuke the agreements, confront what's uncomfortable. You have to confront those things, those uncomfortable things, to have these type of conversations because you've been charged to do it. You've been called to do it. You've been pulled to do it. So what is stopping you from doing it? Maybe you don't know how. And I'm here to teach you. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you think someone in your family is that chosen one and you know this book can help them, please share this video. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can stay in the loop for when I drop another banger like this. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Good Lord willing. Shalom.